All right, looks like everything is set up. Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming Wednesday here this morning. We're going to be talking about Napoleonics. We're going to be talking a lot about Napoleonics over the next few months. Because I'm in the process of writing my own rules and doing some testing and rules testing and just basically all kinds of things. Plus, I'm preparing enough figures to do Quatre Bras using my rules. So you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of that over the next few months, maybe the next year. NashCon is coming up this August, so I'm not going to have it complete by then, and so I'm not going to be running or hosting any games of my system there this year, but my goal is to debut it at next year's NashCon. So I have to make sure that all my figures are done, my terrain is done, plus, more importantly, my rules are done. All right, so I've got a few things that I want to talk about today, not only about Napoleonics, but just in general, the hobby scene in general. And I hope everybody is doing pretty good today. I know you guys are all around the world. It could be late in the evening. It could be early in the morning. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a good day. Okay, this is my last artillery piece that I have finished. I'm basically just putting on my flock for the last gun, and then we'll get into it. While we're talking about it, the glue will be drying on these guys. It's like 150 degrees outside, so maybe I'll take these outside and let them sit for about 20 minutes. Because they'll dry super fast. It'll be like flash drying. Yeah, let me do that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna run outside, and then we'll be right back. I'm gonna let these guys dry a little bit, and before we start talking about them, I'll go out and get them. Well, I've got quite a bit to show you. I've got quite a bit to talk about. That's good. I suppose that's good. I'm just going to set that out of the way. I'm going to have this area a little bit clearer. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I think I might have zoomed in a little bit too much. Let's put that right there. No, I don't know. I could put it right here and it really won't affect anything. It'll just be in my personal way. Okay, there we go. Okay, what do I want to get started on? Well, I have a script, actually. Not really a script, I just wrote some stuff down that I thought I'd want to talk about. The first thing is... Oh, let's do this. Can't see with those glasses. Oh yeah, much better. Now I can see. these are my painting glasses, and you can see the magnification on them suckers. I think they're 4s. They're just, you know, cheap reading glasses you get at Walmart. But they're 4s. They're not, you know, 1s or 1.25s or whatever that most people use for reading. I think these are 2s, you know, but this is a 4, you know, and I don't know if you can see that. Look how thick that glass is. That's thick. Okay. But when I put these on, I can see stuff this close, and I can paint 15mm miniatures. I can paint, you know, all my miniatures that way. Okay, so here we go. Okay, let me just start off by saying how I've been doing this week. If you guys want to comment, put anything in the chat or whatever, I've got it pulled up on my screen right here where I can see your comments. So I'll be able to interact with you guys as we go. So, but I'm not focusing on that, so I might, you know, overlook your message. But once I see it, I'll be sure to respond. But let me tell you how I've been doing. This last week, I've not been doing well. It's been really hot here. And one day I decided, well, it needed it, really. I didn't decide it. It really pretty much needed it. The lawn needed to be mowed, right? So I got out there, pushing the lawnmower. I got a push lawnmower. I've got, what, 1/4 of an acre. I mean, it's like maybe, I don't know, 50 by 100 feet or whatever. It's not super big. But then I'm out there and I'm pushing the mower. Oh, but it is like on the end there. I don't know if you know this, but I did a video where the city came in and redid our driveway. They redid the sidewalk, or they put a sidewalk in because there wasn't one. And by putting the sidewalk in, our yard used to go all the way to the street. But now it goes in from the street, but we're up on a hill. So instead of it like being a gradual hill, it now goes out and makes a 90-degree drop. It's about a 5-foot drop onto concrete, right? Okay. Luckily, nobody's fallen. But there's no fence, no guardrail, there's nothing. So if you're mowing the lawn and you get super close to the edge, or if you're just horse playing out in the yard, you could go over the edge and you could really get injured. So I've considered putting up like a little fence, a little barrier or something to prevent that, but I haven't done that. We're not going to do that. Not anytime soon. But so I'm out there, I'm mowing the lawn. You know, that's just anecdote. But so I'm out there mowing the lawn. Push mowing, you know, back and forth, back and forth. You know how it is, right? Boy, the sun was up. It was getting hot. So I took a break, right? Had to. And I think I had some heat exhaustion because I threw up, right? And but I think the reason why I threw up is because I drank a ton before I went out there, hoping to counteract the effects of the heat or whatever. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have drank so much, and so I vomited all the water up. So that was no big deal. But after I cooled down 30 minutes to an hour or whatever, I went back out there, finished it up, and got the lawn mowed. Okay, but immediately after that, I was feeling like run down. Had I knew it was heat exhaustion. You know, it wasn't, well, it wasn't prickly heat or whatever. It didn't get very bad. It just drained me, like all my energy just disappeared. And so knowing that I wasn't going to be able to make it, I put a chat out to my D&D group. I said, can't play tonight. We're not going to be able to play. I'll see you next week, right? And then I recovered. Everything's good. I'm sleeping from the middle of the day, like 3 till like 9 or 10 at night, right? So that really just threw off my sleep schedule, right? So I've been like going to sleep at like 3 in the afternoon, right? So I'm trying to correct that, right? So I know you guys didn't come here to listen to me, but this is just a note. I just want to get this off my chest. So Saturday, right? Saturday comes around. I'm feeling good, I woke up at like 3 in the morning, because of the way it is, right? So I said, okay, man, this is good. I'm starting to get back into the groove, right? And my wife brings home a brand new mailbox, because I don't know if you know, I don't think I even mentioned it, but a car hit our mailbox a few months ago and just knocked it completely off the post. It was bent, the mailbox looked like this, I got out my metalworking skills and I got the mailbox back into shape, and little bracket that the mailbox connects to the mailbox post was broke, but with a little bit of ingenuity, I figured it out. I jury rigged it. What do they say? I MacGyvered it, right? I got it to work, but the problem was it was a little wobbly, and it was a little maybe not perfect, right? So she went out and she got another mailbox, and luckily it was the same size, because we've got this mailbox that's like 55-gallon drum. So she got a mailbox exactly the same size, but ours was made of something like maybe 16 gauge steel, maybe. Yeah, probably maybe 18 gauge steel. 18 gauge steel probably is what our original mailbox was. Well, this new one is like 12 gauge steel. It is heavy. It's made by the post office. It's not like you buy it at Walmart, or this one is a post office mailbox, and it weighs like awesome. So if a car comes by and hits that, they're gonna bounce off. So so I go out there Saturday morning and I try to figure out a way, because the bracket won't fit. The bracket's broke anyway from the original, and plus it wouldn't fit on this new one just because of the way the screw holes were. I probably could have drilled some new screw holes, but because it was a broken bracket, I decided not to use it. I decided just to jury rig something else, make my own bracket, and so because we've got some wood slats in the garage, so I got a wood slat and I cut it up, and I'm out there at the flag post all morning, right? Because I went out there let me back up. I went outside around 8 o'clock and I started hand cutting, with a handsaw, these slats, and I realized that's going to take forever. So I went out and got my jigsaw and okay, so that didn't take that long. And then I got out to the mailbox post and I started screwing these brackets that I made onto the post, and I've got these self-setting wood screws for decks or whatever. So that's what I was using. But there would be like this little bitty gap where it wouldn't go all the way in. So I had to take them all out. I got out my drill bit and made some pilot holes, and then it was a long story. Okay, so it basically took me all the way up to about 2, so about 6 hours. So I'm out there doing this. I'm cutting, I'm measuring, I'm screwing, I'm unscrewing, I'm drilling, you know, I'm measuring again to make sure everything's in the right place, and then I'm getting the mailbox, and I realized the little clasp on the mailbox was broke, so that's probably why she bought it cheap, because it was probably at a scratch and dent or whatever, and there's like this little thing on the inside of the mailbox lid that holds it shut, and it's on a spring, so when you push it in, it goes poop and then springs back up. Well, that spring, one of the sides of the spring is broke, so it kept going. So what I did was I had to lower that so that it didn't need to constantly do that. It could just stay down. I had to screw it. It was an ordeal. Okay, so we got it installed, right? But guess what? That wore me out. The heat just drained me. So I'm thinking, you know, it's only 2 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a nap because I have a game like Saturday night, you know, with somebody else, right? I'm not hosting it. I'm one of the players. So I go to sleep, and guess what? I woke up about 3 a.m. Still worn out, you know. So the 2 days that I played D&D, the heat blew me away, right? And then ever since then, I've been my sleep schedule's been way off, you know. So I've been up at like midnight, which I normally am anyway, but now I'm like wide awake instead of just like preparing to go to bed. So I got a lot of painting done, you know, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of Netflix and Paramount, and basically I got a lot of that watched because I can watch that on my computer. And that's when I discovered a new show called For All Mankind, and that show's I'm impressed. I think I might have talked about it last week, but yeah, I really like that show. I'm midway through the 2nd season. I'm pretty close to the end of the 2nd season. And the 3rd season just started a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so that's where I've been. All right, so let's get that out of the way. Okay, so as you know, my rep at Warlord Games, right? I do business with Warlord Games, and my rep passed away. Yeah, he was my go-to. You know, I sent him emails. He would send me emails. You know, give me pre-orders and get me signed up for different programs. And basically, he was a great guy. I loved him. Love is probably too strong of a word because I never actually physically met him, but I liked him a lot. Let's just say that. I liked him a lot. And when he passed away, it doesn't hit me that strong. I mean, yes, it was sad, right? But I'm not going to go boo hoo hoo, you know, because I don't really know the guy, right? A lot of people die, you know, and plus I'm a cold-hearted bastard, so, you know, I don't, death is just natural. It's just I've seen enough guys die firsthand for me to care about that. I've locked that away. Okay. Having said that, so he passes away. I don't know how. That's none of my business. I know he was doing a trip to the UK because he was in the US. So he did a trip to the UK for some kind of summit amongst their employees or whatever, and he never came home. You know, it's one of those. But that's okay. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a new rep. Everything's, you know, good to go. No. Okay, so I get it. It's been a month or two, right? I don't get a rep. I got a bill for an invoice that I bought back in March, right? which I got that March, April. I probably got that bill in April. And before the end of April, I sent in, hey, let's pay this bill. A couple of weeks ago, my new rep contacts me and he says, hey, I got this invoice here and it's not paid. I'm like, okay, let's double check. So I go through and I see it has not been paid. I said, well, I sent this email, to get it taken care of. So if you want to just go ahead and take care of it, do that, because I expected it to be taken care of a couple of months ago, actually. And, okay, here comes the problem. He sends me an email and it's aggressive. I was shocked because Warlord Games was high up on my list of trade partners that I thought were understanding, helpful, customer service was good, but that must have been that other guy, because this guy says, well, our billing department is too busy, so send me your information and I'll personally take care of it. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. Let's make that happen. And I said, going forward, should I just let you know? Because if they're too busy, you can take care of it. And he's like, absolutely, do that. Okay, so far so good, right? He says, but before we do that, you have to reapply for a trade partnership. What? So he sends me this 4-page application and he says, fill this out and send it back and I'll get it all taken care of. On that form is a credit card information, right? Which I'm okay with. I'm actually okay with that. But I already sent them my credit card information and it hasn't changed. Their finance department should have that, right? And if he doesn't have that, well, then he should be able to get that from the finance department. Why do I have to send that to him again? Okay, maybe there's some kind of mix-up, maybe whatever. Maybe they lost my account. And then he goes, originally, I sent him an email saying that his manager, the manager of the previous guy, the guy that told me that he had passed away, told me there was an option to order directly from their website with a code, like with a retailer code, so that I could get my discounts directly from the website. Okay. He said, yeah, just ask your rep for it and he'll get it to you. So I asked my rep, hey, where's this code? Can I get it? Is that something that I'm eligible for or whatever? And he said, no. He said, for you to be eligible, you have to order, you have to make more consistent orders and they have to be larger. Okay, I understand. I get that. I mean, they're trying to do business. But the way he said it, it wasn't like he was just giving me the information. It was like, it came across. I know it's in text and it's typed. It's not a phone call. But it felt like it was condescending or very aggressive, the way it was typed up. And so I was like, so I was starting to get some bad feelings about it. Okay, so I went ahead and filled out the form. I sent it back to him. I haven't got a response yet. I'm still waiting for my bill to get paid. But that whole interaction got me thinking, like, why did they need me to reapply? Why did they? Well, originally I gave them my credit card information and they had been billing me, whenever I would say, okay, it's it's time to pay. Let's pay this invoice off, you know, because you get like 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. So I said, you know, like when it gets close to the end of the month or whatever, I would say, go ahead and pay this off. This form that he sent me says that if I pay instantly, like when I place the order, I'll get like a 2% discount. That sounds good. You know, I'm appreciative. That was never told to me before. And then if I pay at the end of the first billing cycle, the 30 days, I'll get a 1% discount. That's what I normally pay. So I'm anticipating a 1% discount going forward. And then he said if you split the payment, like only pay half the invoice now and half the invoice later, you get no discount and some other things. And I was like, okay, that's all legalese, and that's all on the form that I had to fill out. But there was another thing called MAP. I don't know if you know what MAP is, but basically it's the minimum allowed price, or that's what I know it as. It might be called technically it might be called something else. But basically, if I buy, I'm going to hypothetically just make something up. Let's say there is a box of Dwarven Warriors, let's just say, and they retail for $40. When I order from Warlord and they give me a discount, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's not $40 to me, it's $20 to me. And then I would turn around and sell it for $40. Okay. But when you look around the internet and you look around, when you look around the web and stuff like that, you see people selling it for like $25, right? Because they buy in bulk and they sell like hundreds of those, and they're only making $5 a pop, right? Because they paid 20 and now they're selling it for 25. Where I couldn't do that, right? So I would sell mine for like $35 because I got to try to be competitive, right? Well, they post that there's a minimum allowed price, which basically means, because they're trying to protect me is what they're doing. And I appreciate this. Warlord does. A lot of companies do this. Plastic Soldier does this. They give you a retail of what they sell it for basically on their website, and then the discounted price for being a retailer for them, and then a MAP, a minimum allowed price. And if you go below that, you're violating their agreement. So that company that sells it for $25 or whatever is violating that MAP, right? And so they might have a minimum allowed price of like $35 because they know that retailers don't have online retailers don't have a lot of overhead. They don't have, so they can sell for less and still make a profit, right? Well, I would sell for right about MAP, maybe a little higher, whatever. I kind of look around to see what everybody else is advertising it for. But when I see somebody selling it for 25, I'm like, they're violating MAP. Okay. This form says, and this is what's cool. I could pull the form up for you, but I don't know if that's really kosher, so I'm not going to do that. But they give you, there's on the form, it talks about first violation, second violation, third violation. Like the first violation, you'll be suspended from ordering for them for 30 days. And then second violation, your account will be deleted for a year. And then, you know, basically it goes on and on and on. I think there's like up to 4 violations or whatever. So I do appreciate that, but it came across, even though it's aimed to protect me because I'm the little guy, it seemed, that whole form, the 4-page form, seemed like it was an attack on me. I don't know. It just, the way it was written, and it also, on the top, had my old rep's name on it. But it just came across as being aggressive. So I went in and filled it out and sent it back. But if I have any issues, I'll keep you guys apprised. If Warlord comes back and says this isn't good enough, we're gonna have to close your account or whatever, I'm going to just freak out. Well, first of all, I'll probably contact his supervisor, who I've been dealing with for years now, which is, his supervisor is actually the brother of the deceased sales rep. So I don't know. So, but if they give me any grief, or and I have to stop doing business with them, then I might have to make a shift, and go to another manufacturer, or purchase more from like Perry or Gripping Beast, or Offensive Miniatures, or Plastic Soldier. I've been doing a lot of business with Plastic Soldier over the last couple of months. I've been doing a ton. Oh yeah, back to the discount. The guy said, if you want, not a discount, though, the web code. He said, if you want the web code, you just have to put a order in once every 3 months. If you put an order in every 3 months, then I can give you this code. So and then he tags on there, I noticed that your last order was in March, so all you got to do is put an order in this month and you can get a code. That felt like he was holding my code hostage. So that just led into the whole right now I'm frustrated with Warlord. And so if I fail to do retail business with Warlord, anything I get from Warlord is going to have an increased, I'm not going to sell it like new box sets. Like right now I'm selling new box sets on the website, but if I have to order from them at retail, then I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'll pull everything Warlord off my site, and I will only sell painted models, because what I'm doing at that point is I'm just buying the figures and then charging for the figures whatever I paid, that's whatever that is, plus my painting fee. And that's what I used to do before I got an account with Warlord. So that's basically just going back to doing that. But that just means I'm going to slow down big time on ordering from Warlord, because right now I get a discount and I can sell it, new in the box. Like this morning, I just sold some Roman Legionaries. Okay, moving on from Warlord. That was a long enough spiel about all my problems. It's already starting to get a little hot out there.
Yeah.
Isn't today supposed to be the hottest day?
I think so.
Yeah, it's supposed to hit a record today or something like that. Okay, so my artillery are probably dry by now because it's been over 30 minutes. But we're going to leave them out there until we get to that part. Plastic Soldier. They're not very large. Okay, I look at the Plastic Soldier company and I see that they have some World War II figures. They got 28 millimeter, they've got 15, they got 1/72. Awesome. I look at, they've got medievals, they've got sci-fi and fantasy. They have sci-fi, maybe not fantasy, but they have ancients, you know, and they sell some rule books and rules and stuff. So they're a good company, but the especially the World War II stuff, the selection is not there yet. You know, the World War II stuff, I think I've got like 40 or 50 different items, and that's not a whole lot. So when it comes to like when I'm building my own personal 15 millimeter World War II armies, I had to branch out from Plastic Soldier, and I went with Battlefront, you know, the Flames of War stuff, which is top quality stuff, and Old Glory and stuff like that. So, and oh, I just got some, what was that stuff called? Forged in Battle, you know, they do good stuff too. So there's a lot of good companies out there doing 15s. And but when I talk to Plastic Soldier Company, I put an order in for Plastic Soldier, I pay the invoice, everything is good, and it ships fast, it gets here a couple of weeks, you know. So I really like working with Plastic Soldier so far, right? So yeah, no problems. Victrix. Okay, Victrix just came out with their new Dragoons for Napoleonics, French Dragoons. They look really good. I wanted to put an order in for them. So I went in and I logged into my... When was the last time I placed an order for Victrix? It was a year ago. I don't know if you can see it on my camera. This box right there, that Amazon box right there, it's full of Victrix models, right? Plus I've got some Victrix not in there. I think it's in one of these boxes down here. But either way, I've got which reminds me I need to go through all my boxes and sort them, because they're all mixed up. So it's hard to find something. Like this morning when I was trying to find the Legionaries, I was like, is it in this box? Is it under all these other boxes? Or is it in this box? You know, I was doing that kind of stuff. So Victrix. So I hadn't ordered in over a year. So I went in to make an order. I logged into the trade website, because they've got their retail website that you would order from, and then they got this other website that I would order from. So I log in. It says, you can't, because we've moved to a different location. So I emailed them. I said, hey, it won't let me log in. It says you guys moved. And they said, oh yeah, here's the new web address. So I had to go over there, and it says, you know, register for a new account. Okay. So I'm waiting on that. But Victrix had, or used to have, this really large, and I think I talked about this a year ago, is they have this huge minimum order. I mean, I understand like Warlords got a minimum order of a minimal amount, and that if you hit this threshold, then they'll give you free shipping, right? I get that. That sounds good. But Victrix says you have to get that threshold, and it's still not free shipping, right? It's like, that's their minimum. So I was like, that's why I don't usually order from Victrix. You can almost get the same discount if you order in, because they got this thing on their retail website where if you order one model, it's like, if you order one bag, it's like $20. So, but if you order 2 bags, it's only like $30. And then if you order 4 bags, it's like $50 or something like that. So you get a discount. It grows the more bags of the same thing that you order. So if I order like 3s of everything, I would almost get the same discount that I would get if I ordered directly, and I wouldn't have a minimum order. But the problem with that is, that means I would have 3 of the same thing. And that usually, I'm a small shop. I don't have the resources to just, and the space just to have 3 of everything. You know, I just can't do it. So what I planned was I'll put this one large order in, which I did a year ago, just put this huge order in, and then just wait till it all sells slowly but surely, and then put another large order in. So I was thinking about going in and putting another large order in, but now the website changed. So as soon as I get access to that new website, I'll probably put some orders in and get those in, and look forward to me restocking some of my Victrix stuff. Yeah, that's a plan. Okay, Old Glory. Old Glory, Old Glory 15 millimeter, right? It's a US based company. There is a second Old Glory. It's called Old Glory Miniatures. They used to be the same company, but then they broke off. One focuses on 15s, and the other one focuses, and the other one focuses on everything else, right? So, but Old Glory 15s, they've got a really good selection of ancients and medievals and American War of Independence and Napoleonics, and you know, like every nation of ancients. You know, they even have like Hittites and Carthaginians and Germanics and Romans and Libyans and Byzantines, and I can go on, right? So if you're into ancients, Old Glory, man, they're good. And when I was doing Napoleonics in 15 millimeter back in the 80s, I know, right? Or maybe it was 90s. It was in the 90s. That's not really true. No, it was. Yeah, it was the 90s. 80s, I really wasn't doing Napoleonics. Late 80s, I guess maybe 89, maybe. But in the 90s, I really got big into 15 millimeter. I guess, hold on, let's back up. I didn't really get into 15 millimeters, anything, until 91. Yeah. Okay. So, or close to 92, actually. Now I think it was late 91. I remember this because that's when I was in Berlin. And that's when I had this huge box of Old Glory miniatures that I was trying to paint. But okay. Because I was doing all of Waterloo for Napoleon's battles. I remember that. That's when I got started. Because before that, I was doing everything in 1/72. And I decided to get rid of my 1/72 stuff and go 15s. Okay, so Old Glory, I've always liked their models. I know they're a little chunkier, a little thicker, a little bulkier than minifigs. I had quite a few minifigs as well. But looking at them now, the minifigs look too slender, almost like they're fragile, right? Where the Old Glory models seem like they're ready to go, like it's just better. It's just better. They're not super fat like Essex models. I had some Essex Prussians, and those guys must have been 300 pounds. You know? And so I don't know. Okay, so my point is, I took out all of my old, because last Christmas, right, I had ordered a bunch of Old Glory to do my to get my Napoleonics started, and I started painting these guys up and basing them, and I'm going to show them to you there in a minute. But I would open a box of British, because I got them separated by nation or whatever. I opened my box of British, and I was like, I don't have everything I need. I don't have the right number of guns. I don't have the right number of infantry or whatever. So I was like, man, okay, let's look at the French. I looked at them. I said, okay, I've only got this many battalions. That's not enough to do everything. So what I did was I did an inventory of, because what I had ordered were 10 millimeters originally. And then I realized that I wasn't going to do 10 millimeter. So I boxed them up, and they're over there on the table, boxed up. I need to just let them go because I've got probably $200 or $300 worth of 10mm stuff that I probably could just sell them in their little baggies, like $5 a bag or whatever they are, and get rid of them because I've decided to go with 15s. Now and primarily Old Glory. Now I do have some like Zeiston and some minifigs and Ancient wise. I don't think I have any Plastic Soldier Ancients. I probably should get some in just to see what they're like. But I ordered like American War of Independence, Ancients, Medievals, and Napoleonics, and I ordered a ton. But because I was trying to order so much variety, I couldn't. And dollar wise, you just can't order everything you need. So I went through my Napoleonics and I wrote down everything that's in those bags up there, and I found out that I was missing some units, specifically the Guard Chasseurs. I didn't have any of them. So there were some other like battalion leaders and stuff like that I didn't have. Battalion command stands for the lights. I think I didn't have any of those. So I went in and put an order in. And again, it wasn't super big. It was big enough to qualify for a 20% discount. So I was like, oh, okay, so sweet. So now when it comes in, I should have everything I need for Quatre Bras, right? So I've got that order in. Now, Old Glory, they don't have like walls of miniatures where they pull models off the shelf and put them in a box when you order. They get a list of what molds they need to get out, and then they start casting them. So if you order a huge order like I just did, the casting process is probably going to be a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then they'll ship it and it'll be here in just a couple of days. So the delay, I already know there's going to be a delay because last Christmas there was a big delay because of the size of the order. I have to wait for them to make all the models, and so because it's made to order basically. Then I'm okay with that. Okay, so I got that order. It should be coming. Also, Gripping Beast. I was noticing that Gripping Beast, I think I mentioned this last week, they got their front rank models available. You can start ordering front rank from Gripping Beast. The prices have gone up from the front rank website to the Gripping Beast website. The prices have been increased, but not by a significant amount. It was like a pack of 6 models used to be like 5.5 pounds. No, 6 pounds? 6 pounds, I think, maybe. And now they're 9 pounds. So instead of 1 pound each, they're like 1 pound 50. I guess that's a 50% increase. But either way, there was an increase in the price. But for the quality of the front rank models from the original front rank, I think they're worth it. The new front rank models, I went ahead and ordered some Prussian command stands because I've got that Wargames Atlantic Prussian box set with 60 guys in it or something like that. With 3 command stands, I should be able to make 3 battalions of Prussians. And I've had a request from my customers, hey, are you going to get any Prussians in? Are you going to paint any Prussians? And I was like, you know what? This is a good opportunity to get some front rank command and use those Wargames Atlantic models, paint them up, and put them on the website and sell I don't have any Prussian flags or anything. That's okay. Players can put their own flags on because whatever regiment they want to portray. Because I don't know if I'm gonna paint them up like Silesian or I don't know. Okay, so, but when I ordered those guys, my initial intent was not to order them. I just decided to go ahead and order them. My initial intent was to order a rule set for Napoleonics. Why, Mr. Everything? Why are you ordering rules when you're writing your own? Because it's written by the same guy that does Battle Group. Kinraid, right? Kinraid does Battle Group, and he also wrote Soldiers of Napoleon. So there's a lot of concepts in his World War II Battle Group rules that I am going to convert to Napoleonics, right? I was already planning on that. I said, I love this rule, I love this rule, I love this rule. I understand it's designed for bolt-action rifles and machine guns and artillery pieces and stuff like that. But with a little bit of tweaking, I can make that a smoothbore musket, whatever. I can do a little tweaking. Not that I want to do the shooting in his style. That really is not anything special. What I really like about his rules is the order system, the command and control. The orders, the command and control. I really like that. But I understand that's done basically in a World War II style, so I got to convert it to a Napoleonic style. But then I saw that the Soldier of Napoleon was out, and I saw a preview or review of the rules, and they don't look good. I mean, they don't look. I probably don't want to play them. I already know this because I'm writing my own set of rules. But he's probably, and I'm gambling here a little bit, that he's probably got some concepts in that rule set that are similar to his battle group, and I want to see how he's converted it over. Basically, I'm using it as an idea book. So I'm going to get it in. I'm going to I like this. I hate this. I like this. I hate this. That kind of stuff. It's a card-based system, which he really likes that. I know Kinraid likes not the cards, but the chits and the drawing of cards and the drawing of chits. He really likes that mechanic where you get to reach in a bag and pull out a chit. Oh, I 5, or now the cards have a 5 on them. So it's basically he's gone from chits to cards, but which that's fine. I actually think cards are better because I can put them in sleeves, I can put them in a deck, we can shuffle them, we can draw cards off the top of the deck or whatever. The chit thing was kind of a little cumbersome. That's okay, but it's also okay. Plus on the card, if you got the card, you can put the rules of the card on the card. So like a chit in Battle Group, you draw it out, it says airstrike. Well, what about airstrike? Airstrike. That's it. You just have to know. So you got to go to the rule book, or you have to already know, what you have to do. Where the card you could pull a card and it'll say airstrike. Roll 1 for this, roll 2 for that, roll 3 for this. And so I think cards are better. But let's get the rule book in. I placed the order. They said they're processing it. It should come out soon, and a couple of weeks later I'm probably going to get it. So I'm looking forward to that order. The Soldiers of Napoleon. Okay, and last thing is I'm going to show you some Napoleonic figures, and then we're going to talk a little bit about my command and control dilemmas and my turn composition, like what you do in a turn, and that's kind of what I'm still not grasping, but I'm still not struggling. That's not really a word. Just thinking about how I want to do everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way. I'm going to show you something on the screen. But before I do that, let me go get those artillery pieces and bring it back in. Oh, here it is. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and clean this off so I can work with them on the table. So what I normally do is use my makeup brush here, and I clean off any excess flock that might be stuck to the models or the base, and I knock it to get most of it off. There we go. Okay, so this is all the guns for Second Corps, French Second Corps. I'm doing 2 guns or 2 bases per battery. There are a couple of instances. Let me rephrase that. Not per battery. It's guns. So like each base is about 3 to 4 guns. Could be 3 to 5 guns, whatever. And so if you're designing a scenario or looking at a battle, if they say that they've got a half battery of 4 guns, let's say, then you would just use 1 base. But if they've got anywhere between 6 and 8 guns, like the British and the French batteries, then you would use 2 guns to represent that 6 to 8 guns. And then there are some batteries that, very few, but there are some that have 10 plus guns, right? Like, I don't know, not grand batteries, but they would have 10 plus guns in the battery. So then you would use 3 bases. And that would be the largest artillery unit, I do believe, that I plan to write in my rules. But 2 bases is primarily your standard artillery battery, 6 to 8 guns. It could be a mix of guns, howitzers or 6-pounders, 9-pounders. I don't think I'm going to really differentiate any of those, like with lob, because I know like soldiers in Napoleon have this ability where the howitzers can do lobbing fire, which is like indirect fire, which is true, but that's not really what the howitzers were designed for. Yes, they always lobbed their shells, but they were more of a shooting an explosive round, so when it got there, it exploded mid-air or in and amongst the troops. It's more for an explosive, less as a solid ball of iron, Okay. Whoa, just hit the camera and knock everything apart, and there we go. That's fine. All right, guys. Okay, so I can already tell that's a 12 pounder. This is a 12 pounder. Wait. Yeah. 12 pounder. 12 pounder. These are the core artillery pieces. And then these guys would be your 3 divisions. What have we got? 5th, 6th, and 9th division. Oh, that's not the entire 2nd Corps. Hold on. Okay. That's the entire 2nd Corps foot artillery, because Pyre has horse artillery, which I didn't do. I could have done, I guess, because the uniforms are very similar. Okay, so I've decided to base these guys on a 30 millimeter frontage and a 40 millimeter depth. I struggled with 40 by 40s, 40 by 50s, or 60 by 80s, or, you know, just a 40 by 60 and just put 2 guns on there. So I struggled, but I decided to go with a 30 millimeter frontage, and with 2 of them together, that winds up being 60 millimeters, which is a pretty sizable, it's a pretty sizable frontage for artillery. Now, the reason why I decided to, I was definitely going to go with 2 guns. I think it looks better. 2 guns look better. So I decided to go with a individual bases, because this way you can do half batteries, right? You could do battery formations, right? So now I can do battery deployed. If I wanted to, which I don't think I'm going to include in the rules, but there's something called a dispersed battery, where the battery is spread out. I don't think I'm going to include that in the rules. It's in the back of my mind. Maybe I will. And then there's like a march column / limber option, right? You don't even have to have a limber model right this way, because what you can do is just take one of your guns, turn it around, and then put the other gun behind it, and you've got a march column limbered. It's obviously limbered, right? This is obviously limbered, and they go in the direction of, I mean, I guess you don't have to. I guess I could go in the direction that the gun's facing, but that just doesn't seem right to me. But when you turn it around like this, all the men are facing this way, so why would they go in this direction? You know? So I include a limber model. Reaching. A limber model, which I probably could have shrunk down. I have these on 100 millimeters. I probably could have put it on an 80. I probably could have put it on an 80. I probably should put it on an 80. I might have to rebase them. But these are already made. I made these a year ago. These are 30 millimeter frontage, so that's perfect. You put your guns like this. You got your battery limbered. This does a couple of things. This it extends the length or the depth of my artillery when limbered, right? That does extend the depth, but not enough, right? Because a limbered artillery battery should be pretty deep, because and this Actually, that's probably correct. But since I added the second, because that's what I was shooting for right there. One gun, one limber, artillery battery with limber. That was my initial measurements. But since then, I've decided to go with two guns because I need the frontage to be bigger. And if I'm going to go with two guns, then this base here needs to be shorter because I think it becomes too long by about 20 millimeters. Yeah, because that's where it should be. Actually, that's not really where it should be. It should be about 140 millimeters, right? It should be about 140 millimeters. And by adding this, that adds 40 millimeters. So if I take 20 millimeters off of this, it would actually help. It wouldn't alleviate the problem, but it would help, right? It would basically make it whatever that is. Right? 160. 160 I can live with. So what I think I need to do is rebase these on 30 by 80s. An 80 millimeter limber is 3 inches. And I think 3 inches is perfect. A 30 by 3 inch or 30 by 80. So that's the plan. That would make the limber as big as the battery. I would have to tighten these horses up just a little bit, and I would have to move the limber up a little bit. But I think I could fit it into a 30 by 80. And then here's a British one. And you can see that there's a lot of extra space there. I could do that. I could move these horses way closer together. I can move that. And not all limbers have 4 horses, right? So it's just that these limbers that I bought came with 4 horses. I don't remember who I bought these from. They look like Old Glory, so maybe they're Old Glory. But I ordered some more limbers as well because I needed some Brunswick lumber, some Dutch Belgian limbers, and yeah, Brunswick and Dutch Belgian. Yeah, so I need like 4 more limbers, and the French I'm good on limbers because I only need 5 and I've got 6. So yeah, so that's the artillery. Now, okay, change formation, limbering and unlimbering. I thought about this the other day, and I'm sharing it with you so you can kind of go along with this. Let's go ahead and do this. This is why I originally did this. I don't know what's best focus on that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so you're on the tabletop, you're running around, you've got your artillery in limbered, and you're cruising around the battlefield, right? Okay, you get to a spot that you want to unlimber, right? You want to unlimber. I thought about this. At this scale, do I really need to be very anal? No, I don't need to be anal at this scale. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take the anility. Is that a word? I'm trying to take the minutia away from the game. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to streamline it to make it a faster play, right? Do I need to really like get down here with a caliper and figure out exactly how to move my troops? No. Okay, so this is what I came up with. You got the limber, right? I can take either one of these guns. It doesn't matter which one, right? I can take either one of these guns and I can touch the limber in any way I want. I could face it. I could go side by side. I could put a corner against it. I could go all the way to the front. I could even do something like this, right? Corner to corner. As long as the gun that I'm placing, right? And this is kind of what I would anticipate, something like that. As long as the gun I'm placing touches the limber, it's part of the whole unlimber action. The limber's driving around, dropping guns off. All the limbers, they've rehearsed this. They know how to do this. So unlimber one of the guns right there, right? I can move this somewhere, take the second gun and place it to either side. So I could be on this side or I could be on this side. My choice. So let's say the limber, maybe imagine there is a bridge right here and there is a river running through it, right? Let's use this. Okay, so imagine he just crossed, or he's in the process of crossing a river. He wants to unlimber, but the enemy is over here, right? And they're coming for him, right? So he wants to unlimber, but he doesn't want to be up there. Doesn't have to be. Remember, the rules are leave the limber, put the gun touching the limber anywhere. So I can touch it in the back. I can pull the limber off. Then I can take the other gun and just put him right beside it. Now they're guarding the river, right? Okay, now that's kind of a big gap, right? Between the gun, the end of the limber and the river, not a road. I could put this gun right up to the river as long as it's touching the limber, so that when I pull the limber off and I put this other gun, yeah, so that's how I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to take the limber and just place it behind it, or any convenient spot that is behind it, just not touching it. Every battery will have a limber. This is too long. I can see that it needs to be about 20 millimeters shorter, and it needs to be about 80 millimeters. There you go. Now, for the heavy limbers, maybe 100 will work. Light limbers should be smaller. So I'll have to figure that out. Okay, now I've got 6 of each of these limbers. All right. Now you've seen me make on the channel these flexible roads, right? These things are great. I love them. What works? Perfect 30 millimeters. Fits right down the middle, right? Okay. I also had made some hard paved roads as well. I made these, I don't know, a couple of years back. You can even see a drainage ditch, the grate or whatever, and then you got the cobblestones. Yeah, I think I made these originally because I was going to do like a World War II thing, but I think these are perfect for Napoleonics. Okay. So, get that out of the way. Okay, so here's some cavalry I just finished, right? And I don't think I've even showed these off yet on my Napoleonic update, which is going to be coming up very soon. Maybe tonight. Okay, that's my Ulan unit. It's Brunswick Ulans, right? And then I did a Brunswick Hussars as well. And these guys are 30 millimeter bases, 30 millimeter squares, 30 by 30. I recently struggled with, and you know, my infantry, right? There's my hussars, and that's a large. This is a large hussar, and this is a small Ulan. A normal sized unit would be 6 bases. So you've got 4, 6, or in this case, 8. And 2 ranks is going to be the standard cavalry formation. I could have did something like this for like Napoleon's battles, where you just put 4 figures on one large base, one depth. I considered it, but then I want my cavalry to have the option to do an extended line. And so the only way I could do that was to split those bases in half. So we're going 30 by 30s, 2 figures per base. Yeah, extended line, or this would be line in depth, or 2 rank line, or whatever I want to call it, and then they can do march column. They can't do an attack column. Okay. Okay, infantry, right? As you know, I did some French. I got 4 French battalions finished. Now these are all on 40 by 15s, right? 40 by 15s. And I looked at a variety of different base sizes, figures per base, etc., until I found 40 by 15s. I had a crisis a couple of nights ago where I thought about it, and I said I probably could have did 30 millimeter frontage infantry as well, because everything else in the rules is 30 millimeters. So why are these 40? And I considered 30 millimeters, but then they just don't look right. When you only got 3 figures on a base, it didn't look right. So I thought about it, and I said, you know, I could do 6 figures on a base and do a 30 by 40. No, not a 30 by 30 with 6 figures on it, right? And that's what these bases are, 30 by 30s. And I still think that'll work. It'll be okay. And I got these out so that we can kind of look at them together. So in this case, instead of 4 figures on a base, 4 figures across, it would only be 3 figures across, but there would be 2 ranks. So when you take one of these units and you put them in a line, right? I could do the same line, same depth, because 15s and this is 30, so this is the same as 2 ranks depth. The depth is exactly the same. But I could do the same frontage with 4 bases, right? Okay. Same number of figures, everything. So 4 bases would look exactly like this on the table, right? I thought about it. And it means that I don't have to worry about the super depth, you know, the what do you call it? The base being split, basically. It would just be one base moving it around. For the same reason why I decided not to do 40 by 30s, which would be this size as an infantry base. So I could do 3 of these infantry bases. Just imagine if this was a bunch of infantry. It would be the same number of figures as these bases and the same number of figures as these. But now we're looking at only moving 3 bases for a battalion, right? And you can't form everything. It can't be pretty, right? It can't be pretty when you do this. So if I wanted to do a march column, oh, wait. Yeah. If I wanted to do a march column, it would look just like this march column right there, and it would be, you know, the same exact depth and everything. But the difference is between line and march column. Now we need some kind of attack column. Now I could do that, but that doesn't look good. I mean, it's okay. It's okay, but it just doesn't look good, in my opinion. So that's why I didn't go with just an odd number of bases. 30 by 30s is an even number of bases. So march column is fine, line is fine, and even attack column is fine. And then square would obviously be fine. So these, this is a good, this is why I was struggling. This is a good alternative to the 40 millimeters. The 40 millimeter allows for 6 stands, where the 40 millimeter, or I should say the 30 millimeter squares, don't. Now, if I went with a large battalion, you're adding 2 bases, right? And that works fine. You got your attack column, right? You've got your line, you got your march column. So 6 bases works great as a large unit, right? Okay. Where if this is the way I'm going, 2 additional bases would be a large unit, right? Now, if you notice, there's been a change. This large unit is bigger, right? It's longer. because it's now 60 millimeters in width as opposed to 40 millimeters. So this becomes bigger. What else does it do? It adds 4 more miniatures, which I'm not too concerned about that. I can come up. You can come up with miniatures. But that extra length I did not want. And I believe, and I still don't really know, but I believe that I wanted to do base losses, like take a base off. But I'm starting to think I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to do something like disruption points or shaken, not stirred. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do figure casualties, but I don't know if I want to take a whole base off, because if I take a base off, now I'm running around with, we're back to being odd again, which I guess I'm okay with. I don't know. And then I don't know. I haven't gotten to the combat portion of it. So what am I doing? I'm looking at the looks. As an attack column, 3 ranks, that looks good. To me, that looks like a good representation of an attack column. This, probably 4 ranks deep, would also, I mean, I'm just going to use these just to kind of get a visual. That also looks good for a march column, you know, and if I took 2 figures off the side, because it's only 6 across. Well, you can't really see that because, you know, because does that look like a good march column, attack column? It kind of doesn't. That's only 6 figures across. I don't know. It's good, but it's also not good. To me, that looks better. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm doing 40 by 15s. Now I could probably do 30 by 15s. And then I would have a bunch of half stands as well. And then there would be less figures, right? Because if I did a 30 millimeter across by 15 millimeter depth, that would look okay. But I like the more figures. I don't know. The more figures just looks better. Okay, still working. Okay. I thought about it. I said, okay, this a basic unit, the 30 by 30s look good, and they would match up with all my other stands. But I don't want them to match up with all my other stands. I want the cavalry base to be, I want it to be, I want 4 bases. Yeah, I like it. I like the 30s. I don't know, it just seems better. Okay. Next. Okay, I did some British about a year ago. Maybe not that long, I don't know. And I only put 3 figures per base. Just like what we're talking about, right? 3 figures per base. This was what I was planning on doing. My original plan was a 40 millimeter frontage, same as this, but with only 3 figures on a base. I think they look too spread out. Right? They look too... Yeah, too spread out. So, let's turn this. The British didn't really do march columns. The British did columns by companies, which is a little bit different than the French march column. But it basically it'll look exactly the same. Okay, so there's 4 bases. What would you look like? That's 8 bases. Now, every one of these British here are light, or, you know, part of their flanker company. And what I was doing was I made 2 bases per battalion because I was going to do, I was going to use these, put them up front as skirmishers, right? Well, you can't even see that. I'll get this fixed eventually. There we go. I was going to put them out in front like skirmishers, like deploying skirmishers. And that's why I went with the 15 millimeters, because I was planning on doing the 40 by 30 infantry bases for the rest of the battalion, and then like this, and then doing the flanker companies on their own individual stands and include them. So this was going to be a battalion, right, of 24 figures, and then I was going to deploy skirmishers from the battalion out, right? You can't see any of that. Okay, so so if this was the battalion, right, it would have been 3 bases, and then one of the bases, the 4th base, would have been split in half to function as skirmishers, right? And that's pretty much what I do with my black powder models, right? I've got 6 bases. They all have 4 figures on them, and then I take 2 of those 4-figure bases and split them in half so that I would have 8 little bitty bases out front that are skirmishers. And I was too tied into that concept that I was going to do that. This is a 24-figure battalion. But so is that. Now, when you compare these two visually, that looks better. It looks tighter. It looks more, well, first of all, it's a little bit more compact on the battlefield. It just looks better. if I take these guys off, that's the same size footprint on the table. And there's your line. But since now because I've individually put like my grenadiers and my voltigears on these stands, I could, if I decide later on down the line to be allowed to put skirmishers out, we still can do it, right? I still can do it because I've got these half bases. I've also considered putting the command stand by itself on a large base, right? Because on a large base, I mean a solid base, like a 2-rank base, because that will never be broke up, ever. It's always going to be like that. This one is probably always going to be like that, because when I go to line, we do that, and then when I go to column, I just split this base into halves. So going forward, I think I might just do these on 2 bases, right? 1, 2, and then have these half bases as my elites, and then they can deploy like that, or march column, just put them in a line. I think that breaks down when I get to a smaller battalion. So we take this solid base off, right? And we leave the 2 half bases. Now I've got a small battalion. And if I need to go into any kind of attack column, that can't be split, right? So what we do is maybe something like that. I don't know. Because that's pretty much how I was going to lay out an attack column with only 4 stands anyway. So yeah, I think from going forward, I think I'm going to put all my command stands on 1 solid base. But I don't know. Having them all on the 15 by 40 just makes it universal. And it also allows base counting. So when I'm shooting, I could say how many bases are there, how many bases are shooting, how many, 2 bases are shooting. Okay, great, or how many bases do you have left, or, casualties, or whatever. We could kind of, I don't know. The individual bases, I think, are better. I don't know. So what I'm planning on doing with these guys, the British, that is, I plan to break them up and put them 4 figures per stand. Include them with the other British battalions that I'm going to be working on. I haven't actually worked on any of them yet, but when I do, I'll just include these with the other battalions. Okay. Now that we got the basing out of the way, and I think I pretty much got it. Infantry is 40, everything else is 30 frontage. Now I considered tiny infantry units. There are some infantry units like the volunteers and some Jaegers. Well, no, one of the Jaegers is just small. There's like a Nassau Volunteers. They're a tiny unit. So I'm thinking of 2 bases, but I think I was going to do, what was I going to do? 20 by 20s or 30 by 30s. I think I was going to do 30 by 30s, but only put 4 figures on there. So they would be... Yeah. So they would be... Like, this would be a tiny unit. Remember that this is a small unit, 4 bases. But this would be a tiny unit, and it would only have 4 figures on, 8 figures total. So it would have the same number of figures as this, just spread out differently. Or I could just do 2 of those bases, because it's still 2 bases, and it's still 8 figures. It's just these are, area-wise, these are larger bases. So it would look more spread out, like in skirmish or whatever, because tiny units are always in skirmish. So I might still do this. And there's only like 1 or 2 tiny units that would be involved. The Nassau Volunteers, I think, were tiny. The Jaegers, who are they? The Hanover has a group of Jaegers. They're actually a small unit. They technically would be 2 companies, like 2 tiny units, but they fought together, so they would be a small battalion and not a tiny skirmishing battalion, if that makes sense. Okay, so next thing I want to talk about is a Napoleonic M4 Sherman. Now, okay, I picked up some monofilament fishing line, black. Okay. What I'm planning on doing, what I'm planning on doing is cutting this down into a very short length of maybe 1 inch, right? And then gluing it on there as an antenna. Oh, wait, what? All right, where'd it go? Black on black. No, I can see it. It's right there. Okay, where are you at? There you are. Okay, I got nothing in my pen vise. Okay, that's good, actually. Let's put my Coke bottle glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, where are you hiding? Yeah, no, that's blades. Hold on. Ah, you're there. Wow. I'm going to use the smallest one. It's a teeny little screw drill bit. Okay, I have something else I want to talk about in my Napoleonics, but I wanted to do this on camera before we ran out of time. Okay, first of all, these are magnetic, as you might know. Okay, that's where the antenna should go. There's like a little spot right there where the antenna would normally go. I'm drilling a hole so that when I glue it, whoop, that went all the way through. Okay. Whoa, don't lose this thing. Tweezers don't want to hold on to it. Okay. Let's see if it'll fit. Thread the needle. Yep, okay, it fits. All right. Actually, that hole is a little too big. But you know what? It was the smallest drill bit I had. Okay. Just a little dab of glue. There we go. That's probably too much. I'm actually going to wipe some of that off. There we go. Okay, now because this fishing line comes on a spool, it has a natural curve to it. And so I'm going to curve it back. I'm going to put it in so that the curve kind of heads toward the back of the tank. Hold on. Oh, I was in? That's what she said. I don't know, can you even see that? That's awesome! So now my tank's got an antenna. That is the most awesome. Okay, I'm going to let that dry forever. Yeah, I went ahead and got this. It's 300 yards. I went ahead and did the 0.5 millimeter one because that was the thickest one I could find. 0.5 millimeter. Wait, I think there was one a little bit more, but 300 yards. That's going to last me forever if I only do 1 inch at a time, you know. And I think this was like $5. Okay, so that's the name of that tune. Okay, let's put that pin vise away. I got it mainly because there's going to be like, I'm going to put it on Jeeps for my like FOs and spotters and stuff like that. Maybe even the soldiers themselves were going to have little antennas sticking out of their radios. Yeah, I'm gonna go hog wild on antennas. Not 300 yards worth though, maybe about 12 inches. All right. Last thing I want to talk about. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up so you can see it. No, I'm not gonna bring that up. I'm not gonna bring that up. Okay, So I've got these bases right here, these round bases. I'm doing my combat troops are all on square bases or you know, rectangles or squares. Where all my command elements are going to be on round bases. That's a guarantee. So a 30 millimeter round is perfect for a 1 cavalry figure. So I'm going to put a cavalry figure on that. It's going to be a brigade commander. I don't think I'm going to put ADCs or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to use that kind of stuff. I don't think that's messengers. I mean, he could be a messenger. You know, if you want to play like a silent multiplayer game where you guys can't talk, you got to send messages. That would be cool. Okay, and then I was going to, that's brigade. And then going up from the brigade, we got the division, right? There's a 40 millimeter, and I was going to put 2 figures. Easy. I mean, these 2 figures go on a 30, but they're square. On a round, they would be too cramped. But on a 40, they work out pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, so now we go with the highest level is a corps commander, right? Corps commander, 50 millimeter, 30, 40, 50. This is going to have 3 figures, right? 3 figures. 1, 2, 3. Pretty simple. And then a 60 millimeter would only be used if you have 2 or more corps on the table. So he would be an army or a wing or a whatever. You know, I'm going to call him an army commander or a wing commander. So this is going to have 4 figures. How hard is that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. Okay. Now I'm struggling with, not really struggling, but I'm debating, I should say, how command and control is going to work. A brigade, let's take a French, okay, Campy. Let's just use Campy as an example. He's part of Bachelou's division, and it's Campy. These 4 battalions right here would be Campy's brigade. And this would be Campy, right? So I would have him right there. Let's make some room. That's probably what I'm going to do tonight is rebase these. I've been thinking about painting up some generals. But I'm probably going to wait until I get more units done. Okay, so this is Campy's brigade, right, on the table. Which only occupies about a 6x6 footprint, approximately. Well, that's 6.5. Okay, a 5 by 6.5. Approximately. With Campy. Okay, now there are other brigades like Bowden or Soy, which would have a 5th brigade, 5th battalion. Okay, so let's ignoring the number of figures. I'm just looking at bases. Okay, so that would be Soy's brigade, right? That would be a Soy. Or a Bowden. Where is it at? Now, Husan, which is part of Bachelou, has 6, but 2 of them are small. So I'm just trying to go with one of the biggest. Okay. And remember, smalls are 4 bases. Okay, that's probably the biggest. That's got 6 battalions. Yep, that's Husan. Okay, now the British, Kilmanseg's got 6, and one of them is standard. Oh shoot, Godecki, he's got 6, and 4 of them are large. Okay, the Nassau guys are large, but let's just say this right here is Husan, right? Or Husson, or however you pronounce that French word. I want to call him Husan, but you know, like an Arab, but I don't think he's Arabic. Making room is what I'm doing. Oh, I had that box there. Okay. Okay, I'm bringing it over so you guys can kind of get a visual. And remember, this is a brigade commander. And this is going to be a brigade on the table. Now, there's something that I really like from Land of the Free, right? It's a rule that I like. And it's another rule from Napoleon's battles. They're very similar in that you have a commander, and he's got a zone of control, right? That your units have to be within a range of zone of control. Or, I mean, they can be outside of it. They just can't receive any orders, which that works. So how big of a zone of control? In Land of the Free, understand that these would not be battalions. They would be small regiments, right? So they're well, the British would probably be battalions, but their man size, maybe they are the similar man size. I'd have to double check, but I think the scale is a little bit different. So in that game, you only have 2 levels of commanders. you have what they call, in Land of the Free that is, you have something called a group, right? A group commander, which is a brigade commander. They call it a group commander. They deliberately make the title generic so that you can fit it into whatever you want, right? So, but this would be a group, and then multiple groups would be a force, and that's as big as it gets in the American War of Independence. But because this is Napoleonic, we can't do. I don't want to do that. I want to call it what it is. If he's a brigade, then he's a brigade, right? And I'm going to kind of loosely treat it like a group. Now, group commanders in that game have 12-inch sphere of influence, okay, usually. Now, 12-inch is this entire table, pretty much. Yeah, 12 inches. He could command anything. Yeah, he could command anything in this section here, because that's 12 inches. That's 12 inches. Okay. And for this force, would that be too much area? Right? Am I giving him too much flexibility? Because you put a unit online there. You got a unit online there. And then these two online over there. And then these two guys on the ends. So he would be able to command his entire brigade online. I think that's too much. I don't know. I just think that's too much area. It does allow for a little bit of maneuvering and finagling and stuff like that. Now, in those rules, and not in mine, because I'm not going to do it this way, but in those rules, when giving an order to a battalion, or a regiment in that case, it has to be within your command radius to receive that order. So, let's say this guy, let's say he was over here, right? And this guy was just barely inside his command radius. Okay, let's just say that. And I give him an order to move. Let's say I give him an order to move, and he moves. And now he is more than 12 inches away. In that game, you can be issued multiple orders. Usually like 3 movement orders or 3 combat orders, right? Or 4 total orders, right? So like 2 move, 2 shoot, or 3 move, 1 shoot, or whatever, right? There's other commands that you can be issued. But only a maximum of 3 per either one. So, but let's say he gets a movement order and he moves. Now his second order, he can't receive because he's too far away. So that 12-inch, it's okay for that scale of a game. Do I want to force this guy to stay in here to receive those orders? Or do I want him to be able to be out here online? Because the line would be... Here, I'll just... Plus, this is a large brigade, too. That's another thing. Most brigades aren't going to have this many units. So if he was sitting right in the middle of his brigade, this guy's in range. He could do all the shooting he wants, But if he starts moving, he might exceed his command radius. Okay. But I'm not planning on doing that. I think what I'm going to do is give people, no, I don't know if I'm going to do 4 moves, or 3 moves. I think I'm going to do, but 3 moves. Okay, black powder. Going back to black powder. You roll off to see how many moves you get, right? So you could theoretically get 3 moves, but you're still only going to get 1 shot. Where in Land of the Free, if you don't move, you could shoot like 3 times. Actually, I think you can't, because I think once you shoot, then your guns are empty and you have to use a reload action and then shoot again. So you can get 2 shots and then you would be out of ammo. You got to reload between shots. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get the minutia out of the game. I'm not trying to add more minutia. So I'm thinking 1 move, like battle group, you get 2 actions. You can either move twice, shoot twice, or move and shoot. So I 99% chance that's the direction I'm going to go. I'm going to look at this new Soldiers of Napoleon. We'll see how it works. But I think I'm pretty much going to do a move and shoot, or a shoot twice if you don't move. Okay. So this would be like a fairly normal brigade would be 4 battalions like this, right? So I'm going to put him fairly in the middle of that. So a 5-inch is really all you need to command this size of a battalion or brigade. So I'm going with maybe 6, half it. That's what I'm thinking, 6. But as long as you're within 6, you can receive that double move order, and he can move twice, even if it takes him out of the 6-inch range. They both can receive the 6-inch. So imagine he moves 6, he moves 6. Well, actually, it might even be more than that because it's going to be double move, right? So as these guys advance, I'm just going to move them a few inches. Let's say they were lined up back here and they moved all the way up here. They're well out of 6. But at the end of your brigade's move, the general then moves up, right? And so now he repositions for the following turn. The brigade commander is always going to move last. Now here's something I'm contemplating. I know time is up today, but I'm going over because I just want to kind of share what I've been thinking about. So moving and shooting per battalion, right? Okay, so far so good. So like this guy moved. I'm just getting everybody out of the way is really what I'm doing. Okay, so this guy was given a move and shoot order. So he moves up and shoots. Okay, then this guy goes. He moves and shoots. It's not move everybody, shoot everybody. It's do 1 battalion at a time. So move and shoot, move and shoot. Okay, and then maybe a move and change formation, or maybe a move and then a just just stay, right? Okay, so, and then the general moves. Now, once the general's moved, this brigade is finished, right? And you'll mark him with like a little token saying that brigade commander is finished. And then it goes to the other player. So imagine I've got a division on the table, right, with 2 brigades. I got this there. You got a brigade commander, whatever. I move this. I say, when it's my turn, I activate this brigade and I move these guys. When I'm done, it goes over to my opponent. He can do his action on any one of his brigades. And then once that brigade is done, it comes back to me and I'll choose my next brigade and I'll move it. So it'll be a boom, 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 boom. It's I go, you go, but it is kind of an I go, you go. It's I go with a brigade, then you go with a brigade, and then I go with another brigade, you go with another brigade until all the brigades are finished. Okay. Now, on top of that, there's going to be orders, right? Like double move, double shoot, move and shoot, change formation, unlimber, form square. Yeah, so all that's going to be as part of the, those are different orders. But you get a limited number of orders. So I think I'm going to roll a die for each brigade commander. And that's how many battalions he gets to move. I don't want every unit acting every turn. But when you've got a brigade of 4 battalions, the odds are you're going to get all 4 going every turn with a single die roll, right? Because you're rolling 3.5 is the average. But sometimes you're not. Sometimes a unit is not going to get an order. Once a battalion receives an order, it can't receive it again. So I can't have like 3 orders and say, okay, this guy fires twice. Now this guy fires twice again. Now this guy fires twice again. No. Okay. So if we're focusing on brigades, right, and the brigade actions, why do I have a division general? Okay, well, the division general is going to get a D3. This is what I'm leaning towards. I don't know if this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I'm going to roll a D3, and those are going to be his command points. And if a brigade doesn't roll high enough, like maybe I roll a 2, he can give him some of his command points to help with moving all of these units. That D3 isn't going to be a whole lot. And I'm thinking a very good division general might get a +1, and an excellent division general might get a +2. So he might actually have 5 command points. And then now he's got to be within a certain number of inches. This guy has to be a number of inches from him to be allowed to use that D6, the D3, those command points. He can be as far across the table as you want. It doesn't matter. He just won't be able to use those command points. So what that kind of does is if you decide to take your division and spread it out where this division general is like not even anywhere near you, and I'm only rolling a D6, half the time I'm not going to be able to move everybody. Which, if you go back to a game like Napoleon's Battles, the way that was worked out was they had like what's called the chain of command. So you had your force general, right? Whatever is on your side. Then you'd have your various division generals. They had to be within a certain number of inches, like 10 inches. And then the division general didn't have brigade commanders. He just had a brigade, and it had to be within a number of inches, sometimes 4 inches. And as long as you were within 4 inches, or whatever the range was, every general had a different number. As long as you could trace a line back up to your senior commander, then you would get to move full. But if your division general was too far away and it broke the command, then he could roll a die to see if you got a full move or a half move. And then, and if you were outside the division general's range, you couldn't even move at all. So what what my system is doing is saying you can have a broken chain, right? You could be too far away, but the brigade commander is taking his initiative. He's still rolling a d6. He's still able to move, but it's just going to be a reduced amount but he also might roll a 6 and then be able to command everybody. But if he rolls like a 1, then only one battalion gets to move. And that's kind of what I'm leaning on right now. Now, how far apart do they need to be? What kind of pluses? I even considered going with a D10 system for like shooting and combat. And if I do that, then I'd like to do a D10 command, but that would guarantee that everybody gets to move every turn, basically, right? Because I'm probably going to roll at least a 5 every turn. Sometimes I'll roll low, but usually I'm going to roll at least a 5, which basically means I get to move everybody. And then with command points, it's going to pretty much guarantee that you can move everybody. So I think a D3, a D6, alternating brigades until you get everybody moved. And let me bring this last thing up. I said I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up. Boop. Okay. Finally, this is my Quatre Bras battalion lists. Anything that's colored in is complete. Okay, so like there's my limbers here and here. Those are my artillery batteries. You notice how they're 2 boxes on my list. That basically tells me there's 2 bases. Every one of these boxes is a base. So like the Hussars have 8 bases. The Uhlans have 4 bases. Now if you look here in Godek's brigade, these are large battalions of 8 bases. Okay. I also put a number here of how many men are actually in those battalions. And like this right there, that's the Hanover Jaegers. And then this is the Nassau Jaegers. See how there are only 2 bases? That's 4 bases. And then somewhere up there's the 27th Jaegers, which is like a Dutch unit. Here's the 7th line, all the militias, the Landwehr, Pack and Kemp, and then Halkett, Kilmansegg. You know, you get the Black Watch, Gordon Highlanders, the 95th Rifles, you know, all that good stuff. And then over here is the French. These are the 4 battalions that I just finished on the table that you see. The 72nd, 108th, 3rd, and 1st. They need additional battalions, you know. And then there's also some light units that I need to use. Now, I took, I'm going to admit, let's go to French Quatre Bras. Okay. If you scroll down to this battalion, Campy, right? Campy has 5 battalions, technically. Technically, he has 5 battalions. But I said to myself, these are all about 400 plus. That battalion there could be scrapped. Just take it out of the game. Because a 250 man battalion is really only about 2 bases, right? So I said, why don't I just take those 250 men and just roll them into these other battalions, right? So I'm only going to field 4 battalions at Campy. That's these 4, because the other 2 rolled in. Yeah, and I can get rid of these notes. There we go. Those were my Voltigear, Epaulet, pom-pom combinations. Okay, so if I was to scroll down, you can see right here, I was doing math and calculating and figuring out exactly how many figures per battalion I needed and how many figures I already had and how many I was missing, and yeah. So that was my math on that. All right, so this should gradually over time slowly start to get filled in. But on the table, that is what I think I'm going to do is brigade commanders, D6, have a very small range, maybe 6 inches, right? Division generals will probably have like an 8-inch, maybe an 8-inch range, maybe a 10-inch. Some division generals will have more than others. That's probably what I'm going to do. And then they're going to have like a D3 plus or minus their command rating. So if they have like a +2 command rating, then they'll add 2 to that D. So that'll be command points that can be shared with their brigades. But let's say this guy rolls a 1, right? It's possible. Let's say he rolls a 1 and he's able to move 1 unit. But because he's got like 2 command points, he said, okay, I really need this other battalion to move because I need, I just need them both to move and shoot. So, or rally even, or whatever it is that needs to happen. So he uses a command point or 2 over here. And then when it comes back around to this other brigade, when it starts to move, what if he rolls a 1 again? Well, now he doesn't have any points to share. So he has to really, and what if he rolls like a 6? Then he's going to have these extra command points that are unused. And do you save them from turn to turn? No. So those are going to be like emergency moves, like on a turn where you fail, where you roll real low. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for coming out and checking out this stream. I appreciate you guys. And let's look forward to getting the Soldiers of Napoleon in. I got an Old Glory order coming in. Now, I do have a bunch of Plastic Soldier Company battle group books. I have already put them up on my channel, so you can check that out. And let's see what Warlord does. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.